Welcome to lecture 18 in our series of the amazing power of Gematria. This lecture is going to be on a book which I wrote a number of years ago. It's called The Stone with the Seven Eyes. Next lecture, number 19, will be on this book, which are called The Seven Crowned Letters. There are 7 letters in the Sefer Torah, the Torah scroll, which is read on Sabbath morning and festivals, etc., and various different days of the week. Which these 7 letters, Hebrew letters, have special crowns on them. That's a subject. Well, they're both connected because to do with the number 7, and the number 7 is a messianic number, which I'll show you sometime. This book is from the last few verses in the book of in chapter 3 of the book of Zachariah, which talks about a stone with 7 eyes, and I'll just read you the section in that those few verses. So verse 8 says, "Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, you and your fellows that sit before you, though they be men wondered at, for behold, I will bring my servant Semach." The idea that Semach was going to be even more wondrous than those who were sitting before Joshua. This is the beginning of the Second Temple period, when Zachariah was one of the last prophets of Israel. At the beginning, after the Second Temple was built, and so this is a prophecy about the coming of the Messiah, whose name, one of his names, would be Tzemach. And the chapter continues, "For behold, the stone that I have laid before you, Joshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes, or is 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the graving thereof, says the Lord of the hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of that land in one day." So, this is a strange story about a stone with 7 eyes on it. Actually, this book didn't start with me looking at these verses. It actually started by me asking a very simple question, and that was, why is it that the word 7 and the word 11 had the word even in it? And that's got even in it, and that's got even in it. And the obvious question is, well, they're both odd numbers. 7 and 11 are odd numbers, so why is the word even inside these odd numbers? And then I said to myself, well, we don't actually say 7 and 11, we say 7 and 11. And therefore, this is not pronounced as even, it's pronounced as even. And that gave me the idea of the Hebrew word for stone. Because the Hebrew word for stone is even. And that actually occurs in Psalms 118, where it talks about Even Masu Habonim, the stone which the builders have rejected has become a cornerstone. The word even, it's all linked together. So the question then is, what is an S even? What is an S stone? What is an El even? So that again brings me to another Hebrew word. El means God. It's one of the names in the Tanakh for God. There are 7 names in the Tanakh for God. And then we go to an S. Well, the S is the shape of a snake or serpent. And I think I had mentioned in a previous lecture, I'm going to be giving a lecture on the $1 bill. But I did mention just briefly that the dollar sign is an S with a stick through it, which is basically an Asclepius, which is a stick with a serpent going up it, a healing rod, and this having, or there's a caduceus with 2 serpents going up it this way. So the dollar bill sign represented the caduceus, or the Asclepius, which goes back to the story in the book of Numbers when Moses has to hold up a staff with a serpent going around. I think it's the book of Deuteronomy. And he puts a serpent around, a copper serpent, and that is what this dollar bill symbolises. So if you take the word dollar, and we can connect it to that symbol, because the word dollar, and I have done this before, has got two lines, A, R. DO is 4 and 15 in placement values, which is 19. Oops, 15. 4 and 15, which is 19. And AR is 1 and 18, which is also 19. And 19 is the letter S. So you've actually got two S's here, and you've got both sides of a stick, the L. And if you write dollar bill, word bill equals, that's 9, 11, and 24 is 25, 35. If I now work out the whole of the word dollar, which is 19 and 9, you've got 12 and 12, which is 24. 19 and 19 is 38, 40, 50, 62. And 62 and 35 gives you 97, which equals the placement value of serpent. So serpent is 97, dollar bill equals 97. So interesting relationships there between the word dollar bill or dollar and the sign which has been used for it. That may have been done on purpose. So there are people that know about English Gematria, that's for sure. I mean, even Adolf Hitler, Adolf A, Hitler H, right, 1, 8, you've got Combat 18, Association of Supremacist White, I think, organisation, 1, 8. Okay, we might do a lecture on the Second World War and the Holocaust at another time. So, this stone with the 7 eyes. So we have this idea of an S stone, S7, and the S is a serpent or snake, and the Zohar, the holy Kabbalistic book called the Bible of Kabbalism and Judaism, is the Zohar. It's a very big work, biggest work in Kabbalah as far as I know. The serpent, the Mashiach, the Messiah, is called the Holy Serpent, Holy Serpent, and the Nachash Hakadosh, the Holy Serpent, and because the Mashiach is going to bring about the reversal of what the primordial serpent did in the Garden of Eden, and bring the world back to a level of holiness. So let's look at this stone with the 7 eyes. We've got a God stone as well. The L11 was the God stone. I'm not going to talk about that today. That is mentioned in my book. Okay, let's start off with the idea of 7 eyes. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is 7 eyes. There's an eye. That's an eye, written eye. Let's look at this because it might look a bit strange. Why am I using eye? Was it the eye that had eye, what we see with, or was it eye? Well, I didn't have English in those days, but let's have a look what it brings us. If you look at eye, it's got the placement value of 9, and it's got a large value of 42. Okay, if I multiply 9 by 7, I get 63, which is divine. So we have a divinity there. If I now multiply this by 7, 42 by 7, I get 294. 2 7s are 14. Go 1. 4 7s are 28, 29. So I get 294. If I add those two together, just as a by concept here, we'll see that 3 and 4 is 7, 9 and 6 is 15, and that gives me 3. 357 is the Gematria of Igul. In Hebrew, Igul is a circle. I actually didn't write down which one it is. I think it's the large value. You can check that one out yourself, but it's definitely the Hebrew connected to a circle. So again, we'll look at that in a minute. The number 294 is the same as 600 and 66, as you can guess. 666 is the same as 294. Okay? Now, if I take the word for Hebrew, which is Nachash, Nachash is serpent in Hebrew. That's the name used in the Genesis story, Nachash. If I work out the large value for this, where Nun is 14 and 14 is 104, Chet is 8 and 8 is 49, and let's move that. That is Shin or Sin is 21 and 21 is 141. If I add that together, I will get 294, and that's the large value for Nachash. The Nachash found itself connected or floating around the tree of life, tree of knowledge, climbing up. It was around that area. It comes to Eve and says, why don't you have a taste of the fruit on it? So we see that the words tree of knowledge, of good and evil, I'll let you work this one out, the placement value is 294. In other words, the tree of knowledge of good and evil equals 294, which is the Nachash. You can see the traction between them, same number. And we see the connection between the Nachash and the serpent and these 9 eyes. And these 9 eyes are on this stone, which is the serpent stone, the S stone, S-Evan, the serpent stone. So what is the serpent stone? It's a green stone. It's called the serpentine, and it has healing properties. And so we're going to look at what is this in a little bit more detail. The word stone in English, let's write this down on here. We'll come back to why the eye in a minute. The word stone, change the colour. Stone. Stone is 73. That's the placement value. And the word crown is also 73 in the placement value. If I take the Hebrew word for stone, Evan, using the normal values, but the alternative normal values, where the final nun is 700, and that's 1 and that's 2, that's 703. And now we look at crown. This is alternative normal values. And we look at crown, where we look at the normal values, where C is 3, R is 90, O is 60, W is 500, and N is 50. So that will give me 500, 640, 703. So I have two connections between the idea of a stone and the crown. And so in that psalm which I mentioned before, the stone which the builders have rejected has become the cornerstone or the headstone. This is referring to the stone of Mashiach or Messiah, and that stone is called the Rosh Pinah, to the headstone. And if I write the Rosh Pinah in Hebrew, the Rosh Pinah, that's in the verse, Rosh Pinah, that is in normal values, 300 plus 200 is 531, and this is 80 plus 50 is 130, plus 5 is 135. Note that the numbers are a reflection of each other. That gives you 666. So the Rosh Pinah is also connected to 666. So you can see that I do not agree that the number 666 is a bad number. There are no bad numbers. The large value of the divine one is 666. I'm going to give a lecture on number 666, and we'll see its root and why it's such a powerful number. But it's a powerful number either way. Wherever you get it says in Ecclesiastes, one thing opposite another thing God has made, that everything has opposites, and the powers that always opposite each other to balance. So we have this idea of the Rosh Pinah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters connected to this phrase as well. Okay, Pina has the placement value of 36, that's the PV, and in English the diadem is the special jewel inside the crown, that is 36 as well. Okay. So, 7 eyes. Okay, this is an interesting for Gematria, which is also... Actually, I'm not even sure this one is in the book, but I discovered this one. I cannot recall putting this in the book, but the word 7 eyes, where we're talking about real eyes, is 119 placement value. And if I work out what is 119 and work out what that equals in placement value, I get 213. And if I take now, that's placement value, if I take now the word Evan again, in Hebrew, that has a placement value of 15, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, 18. Not quite right. 18. I made a mistake there. That's probably why it's not in the book. Well, scrap that one because I actually put down 17 for some reason. Oh, yes, it is 17. It is 17. That's 14, not 15. Nun is 14, 15, 16, 17. And then I've worked out the large value, which is 34, 58. This is just the normal large values, not the alternative values. So I'm taking Nun is 14 is 104. And 4 and 4 is 8, 16. I've got 5, 8, 9, and then I've got 1. I've got 196. If I add that together, I get 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, which is now, because this is the normal, this is the large value, and this is the placement value. This is called the whole value. So the whole value of Evan equals 190, which is related to the 7 eyes. So we see why 7 eyes appear on the stone. Okay. The word in Hebrew for eye is ayin. And there's the letter ayin. It's called, that letter is called the ayin, the letter ayin. And the ayin is spelled like that. So that also means eye. The word ayin, all the letters of the Hebrew alphabet have actually got meanings. Like the second letter is a bait, bayit is a house. Aleph is 1,000. There are meanings for the words in the letters. So an ayin is like an eye, and it equals a placement value of 40. This is 14, 10, and 16. The placement value is 40. And if you remember my lecture on the flag of Israel, I showed that blue line was the top blue line of the flag, and then we had the blue Magen David, and we had the blue line again on the bottom. And all of those words equaled 40, so we had 40, 40, blue line, and then we had 3 40s, all the placement values are 40, and then we have 40, 40, so we have 7 40s, which is quite interesting, which is connected to this ayin. So then we had 7, we did this I think as well, 7 40s equals 157. Israel was equal to 64, and 64 was equal to 157. Oops, didn't do that right. 157. In other words, we connected the 7 40s of the star, the flag of Israel, to the 7 40s to Israel. But we've also connected Holy Serpent as well. Serpent. Holy is 60, Serpent is 97, we had that is 157. So there's this connection, interrelationship between this stone, flag of Israel, and the Holy Serpent. If I were to write out what this number 157 was words. So we have this common fact, this common number 157 3 times here. So I say, well, what does 157 equal to? 157 equals 200. So check this right. 157 is 258. That's in placement value. Now if I add 157 to that, and this is what I call the solar body value, I'm adding the number that I'm working out to its result, and I get 514. And if I take the word stone, and I work out the normal value, S is 100, T is 200, O is 60, N is 50, and E is 5. Add those together, and I will get 415. So again, I've got this connection with the stone. The flag visual is not a stone, it's a piece of fabric. But there's this sort of inner connection. And just to further this a little bit more, we've got the word iron, which means eye. If I make that into plural, remember that's just phonetically pronouncing iron. If I make it plural, make it irons, and I work out the large value for that. A is 34, 149, 42, 104, and 86. I'll get 450, which is stone. Okay. So we've looked at this idea of this stone being connected to the Messiah. The number 7 is connected to the Messiah. How is the number 7 connected to Messiah? Well, the word in Hebrew for Messiah is Mashiach. Mashiach. Mem is 13, 21, 10, and 8. You find that's 52. If I add 5 and 2, I'll get 7. If I were to use the normal values, it will be the same thing, because that will be 358. And 3 and 5 is 8, plus 8 is 16, and 1 and 6, 1 plus 6 is 7. So it doesn't matter if you use the normal values or the placement values, I'll get to 7, and that's the number Mashiach. Okay. Just hovering what I'm going to go into any more great detail. I'll give you another one. This of course is connected to my book on the $1 bill, where I talk about the eye at the top of the pyramid, and that eye, one eye, if we take the word the King Messiah, which is the term used quite often in Jewish books, King Messiah, Melech Mashiach, HaMelech HaMashiach. So this has a placement value of 148, and it has a normal value of 562. Now if I add those together, I get 017. I get 710. If you take the word I, that's 700, the normal value, that's 5, and that's 5, is 710. So we've got the idea of an eye connected to Mashiach. This idea of the awakening of the third eye of the pineal gland is all connected to coming Mashiach, when we'll become more psychic, more able to be intuitive in our ways. Just one last thing I'll do today, because there is actually, let's have a look at the next page. We'll go into the Philosopher's Stone. I'm not going to cover all this material here. Just get heavy. So, just one more thing is that when I did that star, the flag of Israel, those 740s, so it forms a hexagon. We had the word hexagon equals 74, which equals Messiah. So the connection with the hexagon and the sign. And if I take the Messiah, is 107, adding 33, because the is 33, plus 74 is 107. And if I write the Hebrew for 7 eyes as it is in Zachariah, it's Shiva Einayim, eyes, that's the plural. And I work out the placement value of that, I will get 107. So that's PV. So again, just showing another connection between 7 eyes and the Messiah. So if I now go back to my hexagon, and I'm just going to link these lines up. If I look at this in a way where I'm looking at just the angles here, I'm looking at, say, that one there, and that one there, and one over there, and there's another one over there, and one over there. So I've got, what I've got there, I've got lots of eyes. Actually, the way that it's written like that, it looks a bit like a Y. It's interesting because the Y occurs in the word eye. So, and that, the two E's are like two eyes either side of the nose. Or maybe the Y represents not the nose, but the third eye. Interesting about the Y is a letter which is either a consonant or a vowel. You can take both. It's what you call, it's got a duality to it. And anybody who studies quantum physics knows about the duality of light. It can act as a particle can act as a wave, light as a wave, and it can act as a particle. There's a duality of light, and the Y that is represents that sort of duality. In Hebrew we have two letters. That we have a yud, which can be a vowel or a letter, and we have a vav, which can be a vowel or a letter. But here we have one letter, and that's right in the middle of the two eyes, and that is like the third eye that has this duality of being able to be intuitive. So, and you can see we've got now 6 ayins going around there. The seventh one, where he just shifts around inside there wherever he wants. So you can be anywhere. So there are, as if there was about 7 eyes. That's just my interpretation of what's going on. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit of a taste. There's a lot more on that topic. If you're interested, again, this book is available at Amazon, or you can write to me directly to my email address below, and I'll send you a catalogue, price list, and you can get this direct from me. It is, I don't know how much it is, but I don't actually tell you the values on YouTube, because values of books do change every year. So you can inquire about that if you're interested. I look forward to you coming to hear my next lecture on the 7 stones, 7 crown stones in the Sefer Torah. And that's all for me. Have a good week. Goodbye.